Hey, yo, what up, everybody? What up? What up? What up? Back live once again. So this time, as you can see on the screen, I got the incredible top uh with me on this particular live stream about the cosmic drops, if you will, as I call them. But you can go on my playlist and titled "The Outermost" because we're about the outermost. So in this particular live stream, what me and the incredible top will try our best to do is to convey uh, what you should be doing as a man before you even get around her way. So uh, in essence, like this whole idea of, like I've said before, about the cosmosis, like as I've said at my channel, more or less, is just like, even with osmosis, just thinking about what that is like. It's like the passage or diffusion of water or other solvents through a semi-permeable membrane, more or less. With the cosmosis, more or less, what you as the masculine are doing to pass through as well, the passage. Um, Now, this could get into deeper conversations because, with the masculine, especially amongst the melanated, a lot of guys talk about their rite of passage is through her. Now, we can really go deep with that, but I just want y'all to get an idea of what we're going to talk about, because before all that is to say, before you can even talk about the cosmos of the feminine, what about your inner feminine? And yeah, lo and behold, Top, what do you think about that? The man's inner feminine, how he needs to get that right before he can get her right.
Well, basically, if you understand anything about women, you know, at least from my observations, they generally are can be considered to be scatterbrained, and I don't mean that in a derogatory manner. I mean that to say that in comparison to men, they're not as organized or as meticulous about very serious things like building bridges, for example, like men are in general. Although you will find um, some women who are in such fields, STEM fields, and all that to say that in regards to you know uh, understanding and being in control of your quote unquote inner feminine, it's it comes down to the ability of each man, and how able he is to control himself, his thinking, his speech, his behavior, so forth and so on. That's how I understand it.
Now, this is something interesting that I know you can really touch on. Uh, in regards to semen retention, like what I was thinking is, amongst the interaction with her, most guys are just so quick to drop a deposit when they stop by. The spaceship always drops off something. Guys just don't know how to pass through. They always got to stop by and drop things off, deposit things. And I guess, speaking from the semen side of things, or sexual side of things, most guys are just so quick to want that close interaction, more or less, like you haven't even prepared her for the encounter, because so many guys are so quick to, I guess, explore her insides, and you don't even know what's in there. You don't even know if you're made for it, suited to deal with it. So I think, if guys even knew about the semen retention, that can actually hold back a lot of damage that could happen to him. Not just unwanted pregnancies, but even the spiritual side, and of course, diseases too. But most guys don't do the retention with their semen or nothing.
Well, for we all should still be learning in our lifetime. And what I've come to learn about the subject of semen retention is you have to define what you mean when you use that term, because it doesn't mean the same thing in any or every situation. So I'll give you an example. The way most YouTube guys explain semen retention is from the point of view of harnessing um, the energy, you know, from your semen. Because what happens is, um, over time, if you don't ejaculate, what happens is your body reabsorbs your semen, and it takes testosterone to produce semen. Um, so you basically conserve testosterone, which makes you more manly. But most guys explain it like that, when in another situation it also refers to um, also retaining your semen, but during the actual sex act, and you're not necessarily doing it for the same reason. So when guys use these terms, they have to define what it is exactly that they talking about. Because it's one thing to say that I'm about semen retention, but it's something totally different to say why I'm doing it or what I expect the outcome to be. And I think that a lot of us, because we fail to define what we really talking about, and communicate that in our conversation, that we get confused, and we have a tendency to unnecessarily go back and forth with each other about it. But real semen retention, from the Kama Sutra perspective, has everything to do with sex, but basically holding your semen, withholding your semen, but not to let it reabsorb, but it's all about delayed gratification. If you know what that is.
Facts, facts. Oh yeah, yeah. You definitely want to hold back, because it's like, I know with the feminine, uh, there's always this tug of war, and now it's just most of them see sex as a competition. Who can most of them be like, I be so wet, guys just don't last long with me. I'm just trying to get you to get it off.
Well, to
Like you,
be perfectly honest, and I don't mean to cut you off here, but the truth of the matter is, a woman could lay on her back a lot longer than you can be on top of her. As guys, I mean, you see, we got to get this shit out of our ego. You know, you're only going to be able to fuck so much, so you have to learn to control that desire to run in line with how much time you actually going to have to do that. You see what I'm saying? So
exactly.
if you only got an hour a week to have sex, then you should only think about sex an hour a week. You understand what I'm saying? That leaves all the rest of the hours in the week to do something else that is as pleasurable and constructive, or more so.
Well, think about it this way, from a galactic terminology. A lot of guys get so caught up on the sex side of it that they have to literally abort the mission. Meaning, like, whatever they were doing, like whatever other business they had going on, they literally have to abort those other businesses, those other things, because they got caught up with whatever female, wanted him to spend time with him, and he not utilizing that time properly. Having her to more or less embrace the encounter versus him always trying to, I guess, chase her and stuff like that. I think that's how a lot of guys get lost in the sauce, or in this case, we can say lost in outer space. But guys just constantly just chasing something that they never needed to really chase. Like, it should be that things gravitate to you. the magnetic pull of things just based on your energy. And then whenever you're ready, she'll be ready. Because yeah, it's really all about that quality. Now I've heard somebody say this before, but like, yeah, when you really care, like you really have some feelings, and I'm just gonna keep it a buck, but like when you really have some feelings for a feminine gender that's really showing her feminine, you ain't gonna last longer than an hour. You probably don't need to, like you said, you only got time allocated for such time, and then you
Well,
got other things to do.
well, here's the thing, and this is something this something that guys should learn, and that is, like I was saying, the intent behind semen retention is to delay the idea of delayed gratification, and it don't take a whole hour to please a woman if you understand how she works. You know what I'm saying? You know what she likes. And shit, 30, 45 minutes is seem like a lifetime. You
Fact,
understand what I'm
you
saying?
you could get her to have an orgasm without penetration. A lot of guys don't know how to
That's
do
true too.
it.
That's true too. But then I'm an old school dude. I used to finger bang chicks under the school bleachers. So these nowadays these dudes is walking around with their iPhones and they face down in the phone, not even paying attention to the fact that the light just turned red.
Yeah, that's true, man. A lot of guys just out here, orbiting, hence beta orbiters. And, that's what she has around her rings, Saturn rings, or, she's satisfied with only having a ring. You could call a lot of chicks Saturn satisfied because that's the only way you can get around them is if you got them rings around her. And so you got to let her know, like, hey, I'm not here to orbit you. I'm here strictly for the invasion. But because I've been able to invade myself. I've been able to refine myself. As I, like to say, don't just think of yourself as the prize. Think of yourself as the enterprise, the Starship Enterprise.
And well, with that, and I've said this before, in my opinion, anyway, a easy process to use to solve any of the problems that you have is in your thinking, your speech, and how you act. And the same thing applies to when you're dealing with females. What you think, what you say, and how you behave when she's in your presence is going to dictate what she does because she's responding to you. The
Exactly.
same way that the planets respond to the sun.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's it.
But I've also said before that a lot of guys, they don't think in analogy, even though technically speaking, analogies are not really 100% perfect, but they kind of get your mind into thinking. You know what I'm saying? In the way that you need to be thinking about certain things.
Oh yeah.
And,
Oftentimes, like when they say, perception is reality, like, a lot of times one's perspective can determine your perception. So even if it's another perspective based on, like you said, even an analogy, like there's a way you can even kind of put that together. But some guys they just ain't creative like that. They don't have that creative spark, that mind, that visionary type of thing.
well, I would say that I think they all got it. I just don't think they all use it. So, and I say that because if I got it and I could make use of it, then I don't see why anybody else couldn't do the same thing. Not that I'm not unique, but I'm pretty sure you've heard the cliche before that this idea that you've had somebody else has had before too. Maybe a few somebodies have had this exact same idea that you've had, just not at the same time or place or necessarily under the same in the same context.
What's good, Golden Professor? I see you up in the building. Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's all about getting more galactic with everything. You got to get beyond all the worldly. A lot of folks just peons. They stay like, if you was to look down and just call them mere mortal humans, But you could see like, yeah, a lot of folk, especially if, you know, if they ain't got that winning aspect, like you said, like um, they kind of lost out there in space, like I said. But yeah, overall, yeah, guys that are starting to get more tapped into their higher conscious, especially with dealing with the feminine. Oh yeah, they winning for sure. And I was gonna say this, like, cause I know I did when I did my first installment of her Cosmosis, and I used the example of a flying saucer. It's a long story because it was actually more detailed than that, more encryptic. But basically, you could say that you could be like, I'm so fly of a saucer, or you could be like, I'm so fly that I sauced her. And then basically, like last but not least, you can also, depending on the type that you might not like, you can be like, well, I'm too fly to sauce her.
I can dig it. But it's always going to be my position that as a guy, when it comes to dealing with women, any kind of problems that you have out of her can be traced back to something that you're not doing, and it's mostly a result of guys not reading, or that they're not their lack of the making of using their ability to be able to read a different woman, or each woman rather, and what she's about. A lot of that just comes from talking to her and asking questions, which is something that unfortunately a lot of people overlook doing. And you get these situations where you a bit of baby mama or a bit of baby daddy. The worst three words any grown up can ever say is "I didn't know." If you didn't know, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, that's facts. Like, and so I'm also going back to what you said. Like, I know you said you believe a lot of guys got what it takes, but they just not doing anything with it. But I was also thinking this though, because just going back to my perspective of the theme of the starship and things like that. But you tie in the whole beta orbiters. So you got a guy that basically hasn't been able to invade her because he hasn't invaded himself basically with his inner feminine. So he becomes an orbiter. If you're not an invader, you're an orbiter, right? Around the planet if you haven't invaded it. So I'd say, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Some guys, they could have very well had the starship capability, but they just, instead of starships, they ended up satellites circling her, orbiting her, basically. Most guys are just satellites, not starships.
Yeah, but again, like I was just saying, it is going to come back to your thought, your speech, and your action. So if you're
Oh yeah.
around it, if you as a guy, if you're around a woman, if you don't act quote unquote like a man, then she's not going to respond to you in that way. And there are, I would say there are some general characteristics of what a man is. It's like an unwritten and generally unspoken consensus of what masculinity is among all guys. But at the end of the day, it's you as the man who determines what kind of man you are going to be. And a lot of these guys don't know who that is for themselves, which is why they have a lot of problems with women. If you don't know what kind of man you are, then how are you going to know what kind of woman to pick? Because you have to pick the kind of women, you know what I'm saying, based
That's it.
on who you are. And then you'll start winning. You'll stop losing. But a lot of guys be too worried about what other fucking dudes think about what woman they got. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, that's the crazy part. I mean, I've always liked to say that, losers always think about winning, but the winners always just think about getting better. But yeah, continue to chime in. I want you to talk more about, you were sending me one time a picture about, your version of invading her cosmos. If you don't mind, could you elaborate on that?
Oh wow, to be honest, I don't even. You'd have to show me the picture because I don't even remember what it was. But yeah, pictures. Like these memes. Uh, they communicate, on a symbolic level, more at the base of your brain. So, a lot of times I see different pictures that express for me an idea, which is basically a thought, um, that I had that I'm thinking about or that I've thought about. And yeah, you'd have to actually show me the picture so I can relate a thought that I was having at the time when I encountered the picture. Because I recall giving you the picture. I just don't recall what the picture was.
Oh yeah, no biggie. No biggie. Yeah, but yeah, definitely. I think just to kind of summarize everything, I think really that's kind of what I believe, kind of what develops the thrust, if you will, develops the everything within you to go a certain way. Um, it's all based on what's within you. Now, I'd say this though, and I was going to bring this up in another conversation, but I can actually talk about it now. I'd say never fall for the chick that tells you to go the extra mile. You're already out there doing your
That's
thing,
a
moving a certain way.
that's a chick that's moving the goalpost. And why would you go an extra mile doing anything if you don't have to? It's all about conservation of time so that you can spend your time on, more the most important things to you. At least that's how I think of it. But when it comes to females, like the analogy that I gave earlier of the sun and the solar system, because it's something that everybody is generally familiar with. You don't see the sun orbiting the earth. You see the exact opposite. And so if you use that as an analogy and you're thinking and you say, okay, well, I'm the sun and this woman is the earth, then that should be how your relationship goes between you and her. She wouldn't even be in existence if it wasn't for you. The same way the earth would freeze if the sun went out tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Then we'd all freeze to death.
Exactly. Out of darkness came the light. Let there be light. Obviously, there's more emphasis on the light.
Yeah,
So,
I'm glad that you brought that up because if I'm not mistaken, it does say something to that effect in the Holy Bible, right? That in the beginning, everything was dark and void, and then God said, "Let there be light." Here's what's interesting about that. Again, thinking an analogy. Darkness and light are two extremes. But when you put them together, you get the gray in between. Salute the Sirism because I just rhyme right there. And I really don't even be trying to do the shit. But that to say that the life that's created as a result of mixing light with dark can't exist without the extremes of light and dark. Thus, the gray area in life that we talk about can't exist without the black and the white.
that's it. I mean, that's why it's so important that,
That's
like,
why the yin and yang is black and white and it doesn't have any gray. You understand what I'm saying?
right. And
That's
the
why
dots.
that's why a man is one extreme of the human being and the woman is the other extreme of the human being.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
this pattern all throughout life. It's not a trifold before it's bifold because every level from the alpha to the omega sits on top of every other level.
Oh yeah, for sure. For
You could,
sure.
I mean, you could. It's easy to prove in geometry, but yeah, that came to my mind when you said that, because I was having a discussion about the extremes of life and what came first.
Man, I mean that's kind of like, that's really in a nutshell. I think that's kind of the way I think every guy has to look at things. Like you look at the self-reflection of yourself, and then everything else is determined by that, whether whether good or bad. But at least you can weed out the bad and continue to make things good. But you got to definitely have that duality of the dark with the light in order to keep yourself right, I guess. So, but
And
yeah,
you gotta be Luke Skywalker, man, with the lightsaber. You gotta be a Jedi, but understand just how powerful the dark side is, you know. So it's all lessons in life, man. Every way you look, you gotta kind of know how to think about it, or figure out how to think about it in your own way that makes sense. Because it's got to be logical, man. A lot of these guys, I guess you could say it's the result of the fact that they were raised by females, which is going to have a tendency to have male children, uh, underdeveloped, because a female can't teach a male how to be a male because she's not that thing, or whatever the reason may be. But you got a lot of guys that black, I mean, from that point, uh, are much more in the emotional spectrum than we are in the logical spectrum. And this too is another reason why guys miss obvious red flags about women, or have any number of different problems dealing with women. And you can't be emotional as a guy trying to deal with a woman like a woman is emotional. You have to be able to logic your way through emotions. You understand what I'm saying? And just
yeah,
doing that alone will keep her in check. You know, you'll be showing her just through that action alone how to interact with you.
facts. I mean, that's what it comes down to, and I think that's what the balance needs to be. Too much Star Wars going on right now. You know, so you have to take into the account, like you said, you have to more or less, you have to be a better representative of someone that's not part of the Star Wars, and keeping her from the dark side. Or if she comes from the dark side, you show her a different way. It's really that simple. But that's based on the way you've been going. Now, if you haven't been going that way, how are you going to show her something different?
I
So,
don't know, because I did say on my latest IG video, I think women be looking for the devil, because they be like, they want a guy who's 6 feet tall, who makes six figures with a six pack. That's 666. So she might be looking for Darth Vader. You know what I'm
hey,
saying?
well, that goes back to what I said about, if you meet her and she's already in the darkness. So, that's, hey,
But
hey, the space is dark. You know what I'm saying? It's dark.
space invaders.
That's it, man. What's good, John? I see you, fam. What's good? What's good? Yeah, but we definitely can wrap it up from here. Probably keep this one short, sweet, to the point. A little busy this weekend, and I appreciate you just stopping by. But we'll definitely have to touch on this more, or something like this more. But any final thoughts you got?
Yeah, man. Like I said before, we all should always be learning. And it's just my opinion that as guys, before we, make a rash emotional decision to make any particular move concerning with anything, stop and think about it. this is one of the reasons why your time is so important, because time gives you the opportunity to think things through. Do I need to make this move? Is it going to be beneficial? Who's it going to benefit? How much? You know, and the more you do it, the quicker you'll be able to do it. And learn how to make passive income so that you don't have to work so hard, and you'll have more free time to think about things,
Exactly.
especially when it comes to women.
Oh yeah, that's being light years ahead of things versus going the extra mile for
Mm.
nothing. Yeah,
I know
man.
that's right. But I appreciate you for inviting me, Ray. If anybody want to get at me, man, you can find me on Instagram at the same name, the Incredible T.O.P. I got a YouTube page also, the Topcast, right here on YouTube. Come check me out. I do videos on crypto, esoteric videos. I'll be talking shit with my homies on every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And I kick it with a lot of you guys' favorite YouTube personalities. So yeah, come through and check me out, man. I appreciate you, Ray.
Oh yeah, for sure. Likewise, anytime. And I appreciate y'all for stopping by. Check this out on the replay. For those that check this out on the replay, share this. And as usual, we'll be back when we be back on the next one. But yeah, always good to have you, Top, and you take it easy out there, fam. And y'all
For
take it
sure,
easy too.
man. For sure. I appreciate you. Thanks. Later,
All right, now,
folks.
y'all.